So I read a book recently by Naval Ravikant, and it's named The Almanac of Raval Ravikant, and it's a book that I highly recommend. And one of the questions he asked directly to me was, what could you do for 16 hours a day, 7 days a week for the rest of your life? If money wasn't a problem, if you'd figured out everything, if you've solved all the problems in your life, you had the relationship, the money, shelter, everybody you knew and loved was taken care of and looked after, and you've essentially retired. At the age of, let's say, even 30, you just retired at the age of 30. Congratulations. Now, the question is, what can you do for 16 hours a day, 7 days a week, unpaid for the rest of your lives? And that question assumes, firstly, a couple of things. It firstly assumes that when you retire, you're not going to just do nothing. And let's be honest, as men, deep down inside us, we have a drive that tells us to keep creating love, creating safe spaces for the people around us, creating opportunity, creating wealth, creating knowledge and education and wisdom. We, as men, we are creators. And oftentimes you will find, if you do any case studies by yourself in the internet, most people, what they regret when they retire is the fact that they got into retirement in the first place. They get bored. They find other things to do, and eventually most people actually come out of retirement if they have the possibility to. Let's take this for an example. You've built a business, you've sold it for hundreds of millions of dollars, and now you're retired. You don't have anything to do. I will almost bet you my entire life savings, within 2 months, you will find something else to get yourself into, just to get busy. Because retirement is actually just giving up. Retirement is stopping and saying, you know what, I've done everything I need to. I have achieved the maximum level, and it's time for me to rest. But nobody can ever achieve maximum level, because maximum level assumes perfection. And I hope you know perfection doesn't exist in this world. There's a quote that I came up with and I'm pretty proud of. It's nothing groundbreaking or mind-altering, but the quote goes like this: save perfectionism for heaven and hell. For heaven is perfectly amazing and hell is perfectly unamazing. Replace that with a very sophisticated word to make yourself sound smart. So, if we understand that perfectionism doesn't exist, well then you'll never reach max level. You'll never fully self-actualize. So the point of retirement is completely gone. When you retire, you stop working, you stop learning, and you stop creating, and that in turn kills you slowly and slowly and slowly. So the goal isn't to actually retire. The goal is to actually make enough money so that you retire from choices. We retire from the need to do something. We retire from authority telling us where we need to be, how we need to work, how we need to act so that we can make money. We retire from anchors in our life. We retire from the chains of our life. We're not retiring from work, right? And so the question really hit me, because the next passage was, if you just spend a couple years, because questions like these, you really need to take a few months, even a year at times, to really know that, really find your answer. If you had just decided to take a couple months to a year for focusing your entire brain span to answer this one question, 16 hours a day, 7 days a week, what the hell would I do? Then your life would be 10,000 times better. And so I thought, okay, you've heard the 10,000x programmer and the 1,000x programmer, right? The terminology we use in business these days. Well, I thought, okay, what if I spent, instead of, going through my day-to-day life, trying to solve and answer 10x questions and 1x questions that don't make a massive impact on my life, like what should I eat tonight? What should I wear tomorrow? What should I buy for my room? How can I improve my productivity at my computer? Should I download any apps? What is the best software to, increase my focus? Instead of spending my day-to-day life answering 1x, 10x, 100x questions, what I should be doing is minimalizing, getting rid of all of these questions and taking the time to finding 10x, 100,000x questions and spending all my energy, time, and focus rather on answering that question. Because if I answer the 10,000x question, my life is going to improve by 10,000 fold. And so a couple 10,000x questions that you can ask yourself, one of them being from the book I got, Naval Ravikant's book, is what would you do once you had retired for 16 hours a day, 7 days a week for the rest of your foreseeable future? I've been thinking about that question for a long time. And let me give you an answer. And I hope you take the time actually, like this is an actionable step, right? This is actually a question that you can spend months, 6 months at and still not get a proper answer. So actionable step right here. Write this question down. If I was retired and everything was solved, all the problems in my life were solved, what would I do for 16 hours a day, 7 days a week for the rest of my life? Spend 6, 8, 10 months answering this question. My answer to this question right now is I would open up my own retreat in the mountains somewhere, build up a beautiful retreat, and just focus on giving the best guest experience, the best retreat experience to anybody around me. Because I realized over my years of experimenting with different things and answering 10,000x questions, not at once, but over periods of time, I realized, well, I resonate with a lot of things. Outdoors. I love nature. I love physical work. I love gardening. I love looking after people, making people feel good. I love hosting. I love many different things. So I'm thinking, okay, get the brain working, you know? What would I do for 16 hours, 7 days a week? Well, guess what? If you have finally answered that question in the future, that is what you should be working on. You know, how do I start a business? What do I do? You know, how do I make money? Well, that's the thing you should be working on. Now because you see, once you answer this question, the way your life changes for 10,000 fold is you figure out what you're going to do for the rest of your life. You figure out a way to make money and you figure out what your passion is. That is a 10,000x ROI on your life. That is such a good return on investment on your life for just investing 6-8 months to answering this question. The return of that investment is insane. Another question that you might be able to ask yourself is, which environment could I move into that is going to change my life and affect me in the most positive way according to my values? Where can I move? Which environment can I live in? Because if you're watching, you probably live with your parents, or maybe you live by yourself. But you need to go just beyond moving out, because moving out isn't special. If you still move out with the wrong people, all the bad habits you've done living with your parents or living wherever previously is going to carry over. So another extra layer of thinking that you could apply to this is, okay, who else could I move out with? Because there's a huge difference between moving out with unmasculine people and masculine men. Because think about it, if you move into a house with 2 other masculine men, you eventually will become a more masculine man. They are setting alarms for 5 a.m. in the morning, getting up, getting ready to go to the gym, coming back and working. And if you're living in a house with these people, you will, over time, subdue to that way, to that kind of living. But if you live with lazy people, people who have no ambition, people who are okay with just gaming from morning to nighttime, that is not a very nice environment to be in, is it? You may as well have just lived with your parents, because at least your parents don't game from morning to night and they actually clean up after themselves. Right? So another question, again, you can think is, what environment, what country, what city, who could I live with for 3, 4, 5 years in the foreseeable future that would affect my life in the most positive way? So I haven't had the time to answer this question much, but based on my brainstorming, what I'm thinking is 2 environments. One, by the coast, whether that's in Australia, whether that's in Bali or Thailand, somewhere by the coast with a lot of other young people focused on self-improvement, self-development in the terms of physical and mental health, business, going out and socializing and networking. I don't do well in the suburbs. I don't do well in concrete jungles. So the other option for me as I'm brainstorming is the mountains. In Sydney, I live somewhere close to called the Blue Mountains. The Blue Mountains, it's a famous little landmark in Australia. It's just gorgeous. And there is land up there, there is homes up there, which are beautifully set just behind the national park, where your backyard is literally an entrance into the national park. And the way I'm thinking is, if I moved up to the mountains, I would be getting up 4:30 a.m. every single morning and doing a 2-hour hike every single morning. The first thing I wake up, I go deep into the jungle, the forest, go down, find the waterfall, do meditation in the morning, do my yoga, go for a walk, journaling, all of this stuff way before 7 a.m. And at 7 a.m. I would come back, start working, have my coffee. Like, that's the way I'm planning my life, right? So the question is, again, let me repeat this for you. Which environment could I move into that would have the most positive impact in my life? One more question I want to give you before I end this video is, what tasks do I do that I tend to have zero thought in and completely lose myself in? Otherwise known as, what is my flow state task? If you can figure out the task that you do with zero thoughts and you lose track of time, you have won. You have hit a literal jackpot. Right now, not much has come into my mind. I love to talk and I love to tell stories. This is like, I love to do this, right? I find still resistance by opening this camera. I still freeze and my mind doesn't work as well. I still feel a bit anxious when I open the camera and see myself. But once I get into that mood, once I get into that flow, it's really hard to make me stop talking and to tell stories. Once I get into that flow, I have zero thoughts. I don't think about anything. I don't stress about anything. So do you think, as I'm recording this video, this has worked for me? No, it's just like I'm talking to a friend. So if you can find that flow state task, that task where it's hard to everybody else, but to you, it feels like games, you've just won in life. Because if you combine the 3 questions that we went over today, what would you do for 16 hours, 7 days a week? Well, it's going to be that flow state task, isn't it? You figured out the flow state task, your passion, what you can do with zero thoughts in your mind, zero resistance. Well, you're going to be doing that for 16 hours, 7 days a week. And how and where? Well, answer the second question. Which environment could you move into that would have the 10x results of your life? That means physical environment, a home, a country, but also a digital environment, communities. What social media platforms do you have? What group chats are you in? Who are you spending your time talking to? Now, I've got a mate that I'm developing a relationship with. I joined his community on YouTube. He's on a very similar wavelength, a very similar frequency to me. And so once a week, we jump onto a call and we talk about business. We talk about ideas. We talk about our life and how we can make changes, how we can improve our lives. Isn't that so much of a better environment than jumping onto a call with a bunch of gamer dudes and getting lost in the vision, losing track of the future, the goals? I think so. Answer these 3 questions and I promise you your life is going to change. But behold, for these 3 questions will take a long time to answer. Much love. Thanks for watching, man. If you have any other questions that you'd like to add in, please go down to the comments and add them to me. I'm looking for more 10,000x questions. The questions that we should spend majority of our time answering, which once answered, will have 10,000 results on the future of our lives. I'll see you next time. Bye.